Tulleree, home of the swamp lady. This is the swamp.
And look, there, you can sort of see
The swamp.
it is the middle of summer, but that's more typical of the drains that
Out
we get.
where Margaret is buried. She's said to be seen wandering here. No one's ever found a body. But it's a riches to rags story, and it's something that we're going to check out. So we're here at Tulleree homestead. We found it. It is behind me there, behind all those trees. There is a lock gate, a security camera, electric fence. Okay, there's a number here. We've already called Lucy. We're going to try this number and see if we can get permission. Here would have been the swamp that Margaret would have to walk across, waist high floodwater, all the way to get supplies. We're in Darwin Lower, and we're investigating the death of the swamp lady in 1952. Story of riches to rags. The mansion was overrun with cats, rats and snakes. She became a recluse as the mansion fell into a swamp and into disrepair. They didn't pump the lands, so it started flooding. And so she had to walk waist high in floodwaters just to get to the shops. She still wore her fine clothes because she had no other clothes, so she, in her finery, soiled with murky floodwaters, walking to the shops. But she did become friends with her only neighbour, a guy who did play football, and his name was Stanley Livingston for Footscray, and his wife. And we think that's where Stanley may have lived behind us. It's an old house next door. But he ended up befriending Margaret, having a relationship with Margaret. The week before Margaret died, her dog's throat was slit. A week later she went missing. Her body has never been recovered. Stanley was a prime suspect. That's when she travelled the world. So she was filthy rich from a Scottish family, born into privilege, born into prestige, lived with her brothers and sisters, but it all went horribly wrong after her brother was shipped off to war after World War I, and then again in World War II, and just left her in the house with her sister, basically running out of money.
So we are here in summer, and what you'll find is all the driveways have this crushed rock, because if you basically go off either side of it in the winter time, you'll just sink. It's just soft. So
Tulleree was on a massive property, and in their heyday they'd run lots of cattle, sheep, livestock. This is some of the yards here. In the background is what we think could have been the caretaker's house. They had a caretaker that lived on site when they had money, but when all the money went, all the staff went, all the livestock was sold, swapped, died, and this whole area was pretty much underwater, flooded, because they couldn't pump out the water. The gardener had gone. The belle of the swamp, living in the swamp, living in squalor, in her finery, wandering around, happy in her life. She was even interviewed in the media, I think in the early 1950s before she passed. And she said she's quite happy with life. She's happy doing what she's doing. She doesn't care what people think. She was quite a nice lady. She was obviously very popular in her heyday as a socialite, but she knew other way. She knew no other way to live, so she just stayed in the mansion. Everything else got sold off around her. And in the end, when she passed away, somehow a family dispute happened, and the neighbour, Stanley Livingston, ended up doing a deal and getting the mansion and the land and the inheritance. A good motive for murder, I say.
The Tulleree estate, the famous ghost of the swamp is haunting. We're going to use two different devices at the moment. A ghost meter, which is basically an EMF. See if Margaret wants to touch it. She's a bit of a party girl. and also going to use the Echo Vox. So if Margaret, if you're here and you want to communicate with us, I'm Keith, this is Paul, and you can use these devices to communicate.
Are you here, Margaret?
Slow it down a bit.
So Margaret, you can use this device to talk to us. Rumour has it that you might be resting here somewhere, even close to where we're standing. This used to be a swamp. Tulleree's in the background there. Your house, or you might be at your house, but either way, you got a message for us.
We've come to say hello, we've come to connect, and maybe even help you find out whether you really were murdered or just disappeared. Yep. Were you murdered? Would you... What was her sister's name?
Jeanie.
Is Jeanie here with you? Do you like to still stay here and party?
Margaret and Jeanie, are you here?
You two love? Something love?
Two sisters here.
Jeanie, are you here?
High society girls.
But it's Margaret that's supposed to be seen. The images of Margaret are believed to have been seen in her ballroom gowns. It's believed that when she became poor, the only clothes she had was a finery, and she would be seen in the paddocks walking through the swamps in the finery. And to this day, even the ghost of her that's supposed to have been seen is in her finery.
Yep.
Good on you. You like a good dress up. Always a lady. Lady of the swamp.
So Margaret, did you have a relationship with Lindsay Livingston?
Stanley.
Stanley Livingston. Lindsay was the brother. Stanley. Is Stanley here?
Don't ask him.
Are you still in the house? What house? Your house, Tulleree. Not often?
Occasionally. The odd party. What if we played some music for you? Would you like to join in and have a dance or a sing? We like to play music and maybe even collaborate with the other side.
Yes.
Time for a jam, mate. Fine? Party!
You want a party? Want a party, Margaret? Okay, you got to fight for your right.
Haunted history